hear my voice, but let's get back into it, man. So I had someone very close to me make a confession to me about their child, their son. And this is not the first time that I've heard them say this, but they said it passively, for the second time. They said the reason that I let my son get away with so much and just act out. And the reason that I spoiled him so much is because I feel bad that his father's not around. You know what I mean? And that person that told me that, obviously, more than a woman, obviously, um, she didn't have a father, growing up. She knew who her father was. She's been around her father and things like that, but he wasn't active at all, you know. But at the end of the day, she told me, she gave me that information, and I'm thinking, like, you can't really, you can't replace good times and unruly behavior with being a father. You can't just let people get into whatever they want to get into because you feel bad for them. Now, this is pretty much just as bad as a lot of mothers that I've seen, um, being overly hyper masculine, or it's not even hyper masculine. It's toxic femininity being titled as fake masculinity or hyper masculinity. You should not be punching a 6-year-old in the chest and talking to them all hard and stern and cursing them out. That's not masculine. That's not how men interact with each other outside of, prison or jail. You don't see men doing that in the real world where there's no poverty, where there's no things like that. You feel me? So spoiling a kid and letting them getting away with just anything is not gonna replace the fact that they don't have a father. You know, you might feel guilty because deep down inside you did something to either push that man away or motivate him, to leave, or you might feel bad because you knew you shouldn't have had a baby with this guy, and he left because you didn't have a vetting system. It's not, I mean, it's your fault. But that's why fathers are needed. I want everybody after this live to go on YouTube, stay on YouTube, and go to type in Sinful the P, SINFULTHEP. Fathers are needed. You know what I mean? I also want you to see if you can find a video called Honor Thy Father. Okay? So at the end of the day, that's not going to fix that because fathers are indeed needed. I watched the interview on I can't remember. I think his name's Jalen Rose. I know he's a basketball player. I'm not a big basketball fan. Shout out to basketball players. And I think he's from Chicago and played on the Bulls, but I digress. Birdman was on there talking about how his mother had passed away when he was 2, and he said that still affects him every day. How many of us, raise your hand, how many of us have more than 3 memories from the age of 2 years old? Psych. But the fact that he felt that, and he said the inspiration and the motivation and the dedication that he had to the lifestyle he lives right now comes from his father, really spoke to me and really touched me. Now, to be honest, when I was younger, I don't want to talk about myself too much. When I was younger, I felt like I was a fatherless child. My dad moved to Atlanta when I was 4 years old. I saw him probably once every other week already at that point when we were in Chicago all together. And then when he moved, I would see him every summer. And then he picked me up probably once for winter break one time and then once for spring break. So that happened until the age of 9. And then when I moved there, he's a working man. He's always been a hustler. So he wasn't around me that much, even though he taught at the middle school that I went to for 2 years. I still didn't see him every day, and he still didn't interact with me. I lived with him a couple times, maybe 3 times or something like that, but I still felt like that wasn't enough. Imagine if I would have had a quarter of that. With that being said, me and my cousin, Travis, Cadillac Daddy Trade E, we have a podcast called the Like It or Not podcast. where there was one episode, very famous episode, where they were saying that Nick Cannon's not in the wrong for having all these babies because he can pay for them. And my whole argument was, it doesn't matter if you could pay for your children and you could leave them millions of dollars if you're not there to be a father. Only your dad can raise you properly to the fullest extent. You billionaire has a dad, and that billionaire had a stepdad, and that billionaire was raised by his grandma and his grandma. So what? They don't have the genetics, the mental state, the hormones. They're not gonna have the experiences. What if this dude is, let's say if a man is a black man and his dad is light skinned and he's light skinned but his mom's brown skinned? She's not gonna be able to teach him the life of a light skinned man. She's not gonna be able to teach him about his body, how his mind is supposed to work, how to respond mentally instead of emotionally like a man. You can't teach that as a woman. It's impossible. Okay? And that's what I need you guys to understand as single mothers. Like, I know you guys hate Kevin Samuels, RP the Godfather, but this is the reason why. One of the innumerable reasons why, if you don't have any children and you're under the age of 32, you should not be dating single mothers. Because you have problems like this. You have problems like this where you have to take on all this responsibility. You already messed this kid up. There's nothing we could do at this point. So my suggestion is, no, don't spoil him to make up for not having a father. Which brings me back to the Nick Cannon things. Just because Nick Cannon I don't care if Nick Cannon is a billionaire. If you have all these kids and you know you're gonna expire pretty soon, why would you be so selfish as to have these children just have all this money and no father? Fathers are needed. Fathers are needed. I'd rather have a strong father that I could look up to and be just like Birdman than to have $1 billion with no father and have the emotional stability of a strong black independent woman that's a feminist. Are you out your mind? You couldn't pay me to not grow up with a father. The little bit of father that I did have, I appreciate. Okay? That's not gonna make you making him. Okay, look, let's go into this. When you give somebody the attention of a mother and a father, just the time, just the amount of attention, right? You are potentially creating a narcissist or a person with strong narcissistic tendencies, abandonment issues, and creating a needy person. If this person is used to one woman giving them all this attention, they're gonna treat a woman very different than healthy. They're gonna know how to manipulate women, and they're gonna feel like manipulating women is the thing to do because that's what they do to you. They're gonna lose respect for a lot of women. They're gonna expect certain things from women that they're not supposed to expect. Narcissism is built 3 ways, okay? Number 1 is genetic or hereditary. Number 2, when you give somebody too much attention, that creates narcissism and narcissistic tendencies and narcissistic personality disorder. And number 3 is they don't get enough attention. You're creating an imbalanced situation because of an imbalanced situation. You can't fight imbalance with imbalance. You have to fight imbalance with, guess what? Let me tell you a secret. You have to fight imbalance with balance. So, what am I saying? Everybody has a mother figure or motherly energy in their lives. Everybody has a father figure or fatherly energy in their lives. It's inevitable. You can't fight it. You can't stop it. No, you're not the mother and the father. You're just a overbearing mother. That's all you are. You're too much of a person for one person. So, what kind of balance, Aaron Moses? You have to give this person masculine energy. You have to give them therapy. If they need a tutor, give them a tutor. If they need a sports activity, give them a sports activity. preferably something that's not too hard of a contact sport. Basketball, something with all boys, not a I mean, if it's a swim team with all boys, something that's competitive, something where masculinity only not only encouraged but grown. Okay. Of course, everybody doesn't have a big family like me, but put them around a whole bunch of uncles, cousins, your brothers, which would be their uncles, a granddad, your friends that have been vetted to be somebody who, yeah, I might not want to. You guys, I'm sorry, that was gross. Your friends might not be the best because a woman friend zoning a man is essentially saying, you're not good enough for me to engage with adult manner, but I think I'm gonna keep you around because you're useful. That's why women friend zone people. I'm sorry, fellas, that's just what it is. She's not gonna give it to you unless she's trying to make somebody jealous or if she's bored and maybe it's the third wave of COVID. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's true. But at the end of the day, you treating this little boy like a princess, like a prince that he is not, is not gonna make him into a man or a better person. It's gonna make him worse. It's gonna make him worse, and it's gonna make society worse because they're going to have to interact with other people, and this false sense of confidence and arrogance is going to make them. It's gonna make them view life very differently, and it's gonna make them pretty much. I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna just keep it funky. It's gonna make them unsafe to be around, and they're gonna have to bump their head and bump their head and bump their head, possibly go to jail. If you keep letting them get away with, you already don't have a man to show them how to treat women. You already have that. You already have the lack of a man to show them the importance of discipline and responsibilities and how not to cry and how to handle situations. You already are going to teach them the wrong way on how to attract the attention of a lady and maintain the attention of a lady. You already don't have a man to show them how to move around women and regulate a woman's emotions and lead. You already have a lack of everything that a boy is supposed to learn from a man. But why would you, on top of that, treat this little boy like a father is supposed to treat their daughter? That's that. I mean, I can't. That's an emotional reaction. That's not a mental response. That's an emotional reaction. That's not logical. That's not logical. And I do understand. I thought I understood the pain of being fatherless. I did. You know what I mean? The anger. There's a lot of anger. There's still a lot of anger, a lot of passion, a lot of not even depression. Not depression, but there's a lot of well, anger does come from some form of depression in certain senses. See, I'm getting something from this too. But at the end of the day, no, that's the exact opposite of what you should do. That's really, really not good. But at the end of the day, it shows you that you are at least attempting to be a good mother, but you can't really be a good mother without a good father. So at the end of the day, I hope you guys learned something. I hope that you know some. Well, I really don't. I hope that you don't know anybody who needs to learn these messages and hear this video. But if you do, if there's a chance that you do, make sure you share this video. Make sure you subscribe, leave your comments, and make sure you spread this message to anybody that you know. And I do want to take that back. I'm not saying that you. I did say you can't be a good mother without being a good without having a good father. What that means to me is, yes, if you put the little boy in therapy and sports and get him a tutor, that is his father. You know, we all have fathers, whether it be God, whether it be religion, whether it be, that basketball court, whether it be, that karate class, whether it be whether if you don't have a fatherly foundation, if you are a mother and you don't lead this person to, like I said, that uncle, that cousin, those cousins, those great uncles, those, basketball tournaments, if you don't actually set the foundation of fatherly energy and masculine energy being in his life, and you just try to replace a fatherly energy with motherly energy and femininity, no, you're not a good mother. So no, you cannot be, I'm not taking it back. You can't be a good mother without having a good father. But maybe I'll break that down in a different video. But I didn't want to, like, if your baby daddy or your husband happened to pass away, I'm not saying that you could never be a good mother. If you never decide to date or have a romantic partner around your child again, I'm not saying that at all, because I have a couple good friends that actually lost their significant other and they have children. Shout out to them. But at the end of the day, man, it's Aaron Moses. I'm the bang, you the bang, we the bang together, man. Life is in the breath. I love you. Breathe it in. Peace. Gang.